And I encourage anyone that's like starting out, maybe they haven't tried shaping before, to really give it a try because you will see like just how smart your dog is. You'll see those wheels turning. And I think one of the most important things is to use something that the dog is really reinforced by. So, a piece of food, treats that the dog really loves. And then also to really practice your markers so that the timing is perfect with those tiny little steps because that's what we're doing. We're shaping the end behavior. So we want to be really consistent with marking just at the right time where it's a tiny step in the right direction.
And a marker can be, for our listeners, it could be a tool. You could use a clicker, but you could also use your voice or you could use something visual. So there are many different types of markers. And I'll let Sarah tell you a little bit more about that. Do you have any favorite types of markers or the type of marker that you like to use?
Yeah, so I tend to just use yes. I like to use my voice. I do have a disability, so it makes it easier for me to just, okay, I've got my voice on me, so I'll just use that. And I have used a clicker as well before. They also have like apps on the phone that you can do it through there too if dexterity is an issue. But there's, if your dog has issues with like hearing or something, you can do a thumbs up or like a little flashing light. So there's a lot of ways to mark the behavior, but basically you're being consistent with whatever that marker is so that they know as soon as I see that or hear that, the treat is coming.
And you're trying to mark exactly when that step happens. So you're breaking up that behavior into small little bits and pieces. And that's the game part for us, I think, is that timing, trying to get that timing correct. And it does feel like a game because you're trying to say it at exactly the right moment. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it is. It's like a challenge for them and for us. And so I think that's what makes it so fun.
Absolutely. Now, can you talk a little bit more about how shaping has helped you, how shaping has helped dog training be accessible for you and for others as well? Because I know this is one of the things that you do is you help others find ways to make dog training accessible and to find creative ways to train.
Yeah, so for me, like I've always had small dogs. And so recently, I've started working with bigger dogs at the animal shelter and I'm like, "Oh, this is cool. I can actually like lure them and use those kinds of methods that I couldn't use with my dogs before." But being in a power chair and having smaller dogs, they're kind of short, and so I can't reach them to do traditional luring. And so I've really found shaping to be super effective because I can get behaviors that I couldn't otherwise physically get down to the floor to lure, and I'm able to get those behaviors that I want. And I think that it has really helped my dogs to really think for themselves. And I love to see that because it really builds confidence, even in fearful dogs, because it's like, if like I can offer behaviors and they're not going to tell me no. And like, they get to be really creative. And so when they start to be able to practice like offering behaviors, they can really get creative too. And I think that builds confidence for them as well. So for me, whether that's working with my bird or working with dogs, working with cats, any animal can learn through shaping. And it's because even something as simple as like you want to teach them to fetch something, all they have to do is look at it to start. And so you can start with tiny little increments and tiny steps like that. And they're really excited because it's like, wow, that's all I had to do. And it's a step in the right direction.
I think that's the big takeaway that I hope our listeners get from this is it's hard to imagine if you've never done any type of shaping before. It's hard for pet parents to imagine what that looks like. So your perfect example of using fetch, like you want the dog to do these steps that seem very difficult, but you're just starting with just look at the thing, like whatever it is, just look at it. And a lot of pet parents might not understand how that can actually turn into this lovely finished behavior of bringing an item all the way back. So I think that's a really exciting thing that hopefully our listeners take away today is those little small steps will turn into something amazing, but you just have to stick with it. And like you said, the animals learn to offer. So they really learn how to participate and how to offer these really cool things. And it's just, I think it's amazing to watch because it becomes like that game of they're trying to figure out what works, which is really cool.
It is, and I think too for, like, fearful dogs, it's perfect because you do not have to even be close to them. You don't have to handle them if they're really, really fearful and you've just adopted a dog who maybe is terrified of the world. You can start with something so small, and they're getting reinforced for it. So, they get to be reinforced for coming out of their shell, essentially, and they can participate in this game with you without even needing to be outside of their comfort zone of being touched or being in close proximity to someone.
That's a really good point, and I think that also brings up something else regarding cooperative care. I believe you have